more recently I really come back to the drums and really enjoyed it. The thing about drummers is that they can't operate on their own. It is a requirement that you have a band around you. If ever there was an opportunity to sort of showcase what Rick does and what Rick has done, this is it. Rock and roll in the 21st century, more and more bands are dealing with this. You know, whether it's Queen working on things that Freddie did originally, or The Who, or whatever. Michael Jackson, I mean, the place is now full of holograms and ghosts and weird stuff. Yeah, let's do it. At different times it was thought it was going to be a record, at another time it looked like it might be a film soundtrack. Earlier on it was thought it might just be streamed and be a sort of giveaway or something. And so it's just been such a slow process of development that it was slightly surprising when the thing finally actually got finished. It's a bit of a roller coaster since, actually a really rather dull roller coaster, if you know what I mean. But so much of rock drumming is about what not to play. Maybe sends a sort of rather curious message, but having said that, when I watch those guys do so much speed and technique, I go, wish I could do that. And I probably could if I set my mind to it and stop messing around with cars. The reality is when you're in the car, you're on your own. And for having said that piece at the beginning about drummers being unable to operate on their own, it's quite nice to have something that is entirely about you. There's no one else who can do any of it for you. You know, there's great advice is that thing about if you're on stage and you make a mistake, the big thing is to look really furiously at someone else, just though they've made the mistake. But the great thing in the car is it's you. So that's what I've always, one of the elements that I really like about the motor racing. The reality is so much of the motoring we do these days is dull. Going for a drive to enjoy it, you really have to work quite hard for that one. And so, you know, one relies more on things like in-car entertainment and being able to use the phone safely and so on. The main thing you're looking for is balance. You know, you're looking to see whether you're getting all the frequencies. Real bass is the thing that gets... well, the humming thing was about gets your head moving, you know, and so that's what you're always looking for. There's far fewer important cars than important painters. The biggest problem is this business with sports cars and racing cars, of whether we should run them, and if we run them, how hard should we run them. I'm really still pretty ambivalent about this. Okay, we are approaching Britannia Row. Sadly, rather a lot of traffic out the way. Site of original band headquarters and band-owned recording studio. When the music leaves the studio, it's really as good as everyone can make it, and it is appallingly degraded by the time it reaches that MP3 player and the cheap, you know, the cheap earbuds, and you just think, oh God. And I think that's a real problem, and I think people are missing out on an element of music. It's like the Japanese tea ceremony. You know, it's a lovely way of having a cup of tea. It's not going to replace the tea bag. The cleverest thing about the California is the roof, because when you consider that England is the one country that takes more dropheads than any other country and has the worst weather, it makes sense to have something that really can be either. I thought, surely no, not going to stop us. We believe it's not true that a BA flight did actually see the pig flying past, but decided not to report it on the grounds no one would believe them. I think it does help, funnily enough, when U2 release their album and give it away for free, because it's been really interesting how badly that went down. But Spotify's interesting because, you know, Spotify does look like it's the future. I think iTunes less so. That is already beginning to look rather passé. You know, unfortunately, what we need is another 2 or 3 billion people using it, and then I think it would begin to make proper sense for musicians. Because of the internet, music has become devalued. Maybe music was overvalued previously, but it's been devalued to a point where I think it's a problem now, because actually we miss out on a lot of good music that could be available but isn't. Right, let's grab enough of that.